What are superfoods and how do we get more of them? Because it sounds like something we need if we want to be healthy, right? Well, there's an article by the Epic Times and they talk about the 7 most superfoods. And I'm interested in this because I had just written an article on superfoods. So what I want to do is take their list of superfoods and compare it to my list of superfoods. And not only are you going to end up with a whole bunch of superfoods at the end of this you can eat, but it'll also give you an idea of the importance of eating these really good nutritionally dense foods. Now, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and be sure to hit the notification bell because subscribes hardly mean anything on YouTube anymore. If you want to hear about our content, you got to ring that bell. And then also give this video a thumbs up and comment down in the comment section below. If you comment, it'll help get this video out to more people, and I'd greatly appreciate it. So let's talk about the 7 most superfoods. And this article goes on to say, add these nutrient-dense, calorie-light foods to your diet for extra energy and disease protection. Sounds pretty good, but what is a superfood? Well, according to this article, while not a regulated or a certifiable nutritional claim, food experts define superfoods as having a nutrient density that outweighs the caloric intake, which I agree with. And they go to give an example. Think of a 0-calorie cup of green tea that's loaded with catechins and other potent antioxidants. Okay, so that's a great example. Let's go ahead and dive into their first one, kale. Now, kale is a superfood and was really popular probably about 5 years ago. I remember when all the hype came out about kale, there was these shirts people were walking around in saying Kale U, like Kale University. It was a play on words to the Yale University shirts that people wear. So kale has been incredibly popular for quite some time, and rightfully so, loaded with a lot of fiber, vitamins, minerals, protein, amino acids, antioxidants, a great source of nutrition. Now, a lot of people don't really like kale. I mean, me personally, I don't just go munch on a stalk of kale. I don't particularly like it in my salads. So 2 of the ways that I like to eat kale that I think anybody could really get it into their diet this way is, 1, you can dehydrate it. You can put some coconut oil on it, some sea salt. You can even sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on it, dehydrate it, and it is really fantastic that way. And then another way I like to eat it is just throwing it into a smoothie. Throwing it into a smoothie with some mixed berries is really incredible too, because just kale alone is a little bit sour and bitter, and not too many people like it that way. But you can eat it in the ways that I recommended, and it's much better, and you're getting that superfood in. Now, the next one here is hemp. Hemp is loaded with fiber, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and other potent antioxidants. It's not something that I particularly use a lot. It's a great, it's a great superfood. I wouldn't put it this high up on the list personally, but you can throw it in some salads, soups, smoothies, desserts, and get the benefit of that superfood. Next is coconut oil. Coconut oil is great for so many reasons. Now, coconut oil was demonized by the American Heart Association for so many years. They were saying that it was going to basically give you heart attacks and other cardiovascular related events because you're eating all that saturated fat. But we know now, even though they're still telling us this, we know that that's not true. Coconut oil is very healthy. It's also good to cook with because it has a very high heat point and you can warm it up to a high level without actually making it go rancid. So I'm a big fan of coconut oil. It also has many other benefits. Just using it as like a beauty product in your hair, topically on your skin, if you have a rash, has a slight antibiotic or an antibacterial component to it that also people use it for. So love coconut oil, big fan of it. Let's go into flax and chia seeds. I'm also a fan of this. Typically, I just put some chia seeds in my smoothie and use them that way, but this article actually says you can use these flax and chia seeds and use it as an egg replacer if you're making baked goods, which we tell people to do all the time because it's amazing how many people are actually sensitive to eggs and can't have them. So you can make a little concoction with this flax or chia seeds and it works pretty well. Maca is next on the list, and this is a Peruvian superfood that has a lot of protein, minerals, and vitamins in it as well. I literally never use maca personally, but it's one of the things that they put on their list. I, once again, wouldn't put it as high, but I think it's a good superfood. Almonds are next here. Almonds are great, and here's the thing that we need to know about almonds. When we eat them, we want to get them raw, okay? Most people are eating roasted almonds. You want to get them raw. If you can get some sea salt on them, that's also a great thing. And we also don't want to consume almonds in high amounts, okay? It's just because they are hard for our body to digest. Typically, people will tell me, well, I open a bag of mixed nuts and I eat the whole bag and then my gut hurts. Well, it's just because they are hard to break down. So almonds are great because they are a good source of good healthy fats, but they also have lots of vitamin E, calcium, magnesium, iron, phosphorus, fiber, and other proteins as well. So I'm a big fan of them, but once again, eat them raw, eat them organic. I didn't even realize it, but it actually tells you to eat them raw in this article right here. So big fan of almonds. And I eat a ton of almonds in the way of like almond flour. If you are somebody who bakes and you bake gluten-free and you bake grain-free, almond flour, coconut flour, these are going to be your top go-tos, okay? I don't typically sit down with a bag of almonds, but I'll eat a lot of almond flour, everything else, whether it's muffins, waffles, whatever. We always use a lot of almond flour in our house. We buy huge bags of it and cook with it. Now, chocolate's another huge one. I mean, so many benefits to that. Cardiovascular benefits, benefits in the way of boosting feel-good hormones in the brain, dopamine, tons of immune boosting antioxidants in it, helps fight free radicals, lots of benefit to the chocolate. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Now, what I want to do is go over to my list, because I actually had a few superfoods that I had mentioned that are quite a bit different than these. Now, first on my list was sardines. Now, sardines are an incredible superfood, not only because it's a good protein source, but it also has 7 grams of EPA and DHA. These fats are so critical and important for your nervous system and your brain. So if you're somebody who, is fighting some brain inflammation, if you're fighting some sort of brain issue in general, you think of somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia, and they have these brain challenges, DHA is incredibly powerful. I personally either supplement with DHA or I make sure that I'm eating things like sardines. Now, I get it. A lot of people are going to be like, sardines are disgusting. How could you eat those? Well, I agree to a certain extent. Now, first of all, I eat them because they're so good for me, but the other thing that I have found is that if you use the Wild Planet, you hear me talk about this, the Wild Planet sardines that are in lemon are actually pretty darn good. Okay, now I went to the lemon-based ones by Wild Planet, and then I had to go back and finish up like a couple cans of some smoked ones that I had that were just horrible. Like I literally could hardly eat them because they were that much worse. So I now stick only to the Wild Planet lemon ones. I'm telling you, give it a try. I get it if you don't think you're going to like them, but give these a try. It's a great superfood, really good for you. Now, the next thing I had on my list that they didn't have was liver. Okay, now liver is also incredibly good. I mean, it's been used for thousands of years as a very nutrient-dense meat that we could eat. And in many cultures, many tribes, it was always considered a delicacy too. So liver is something that we don't prioritize in Western society. We eat mostly muscle meats, but we can't overlook the nutrient value of eating liver. And not to mention, we want to use this not only to get proper nutrition, but when we look at eating liver, we also want to make sure that we are consuming it from a grass-fed animal and an animal that was raised without hormones and antibiotics and all that garbage too. So I had kale on my list, so we came across one of the same ones so far. Now the next one I had they didn't have was eggs. Okay, eggs are literally one of the most perfect foods on the planet, literally because it has a great and perfect profile of amino acids and fats and nutrients, and it has nutrients that are great for your eyes. Just a really good, well-rounded food. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of people are very sensitive to eggs. It's probably up there with gluten and a lot of different grains and dairy. Eggs are one of the top foods that people are sensitive to. I'm one of those people that happen to be pretty sensitive to eggs. I can have like trace amounts of eggs and like baked goods, but if I were to go and like eat a 5-egg omelet, I would not feel good. Typically, I'll get some rashes from it. So eggs have never sat well with me. I don't know why. I hate the fact that they don't sit well because I love eggs, but it's just the cards I was dealt. So eggs are a great superfood for most people. Next on our list is going to be blueberries. Now, blueberries are incredibly good for so many reasons. Good antioxidants in them, lots of vitamins, lots of good minerals. And then the other thing that's great about the blueberries is that they have a low glycemic value. So therefore, you're getting a lot of nutrition, but you're not raising your blood sugar very high. And now I had chocolate just like they had chocolate. And we talked about in another article that I did recently, or video I should say, is when we go to get chocolate, we want to get organic. We want to get it with no sugar in it. The stevia ones are great anymore. I remember when there was no stevia chocolates on the market, and or xylitol sweetened or whatever they're sweetened with today, and you would just go for like the raw, really high cacao ones, and literally, I mean, they were a little bit harder to eat, but when you were avoiding chocolate altogether and that was the only chocolate you ever had, it was, you know, kind of worth it. But a lot of the chocolates are great now, so we want to make sure that we're eating it organic. We want to make sure that it has a cacao rating of 80% or higher. It has tons of cardiovascular benefits and just a lot of good benefits from chocolate. So that is on my list and their list as well. And then one I had on my list, and this is one that I think that is good. It's cheap and it has a lot of health benefits. Now, this isn't going to fit into something you're going to be eating frequently, every single day, all the time, but it is definitely a food that has a high nutritional value, and that was potatoes. Now, the reason I say this is because potatoes have 520 grams of potassium in a typical potato, with a lot of other minerals in there as well. Now, many people are having problems today with mineral deficiencies just because the lack of minerals in the soil. So eating a potato is going to really help bring up those mineral levels, those electrolyte levels in your body, and I'm a big fan. Now, once again, I don't think it's a food that you need to eat constantly, all the time, every day, but certainly a food that you could sneak in here and there that's delicious. It helps take off the edge for those of us who are eating healthy all the time and keeping our diets low carb, throwing in some potatoes here and there. We like to, in our home, to make some potato wedges, season them up with some olive oil and some salt and spices. I mean, look, I grew up eating French fries from McDonald's all the time, and so this is a great treat for me. I'm a big fan whenever I get to eat some potatoes. So those are the superfoods, and those are the superfoods that I try to incorporate more into my life. As far as the list I gave you, some of the ones they had mentioned are still great. It's just not ones that I particularly use as much. So let me know in the comments, what superfoods do you eat on a regular basis? And what are some ways that you, or let me ask you this, I guess, what are some superfoods that you're trying to increase? Because for me, it was sardines for a long time, and I'm kind of there now, where I eat sardines like probably 2-3 times a week. So what type of superfoods are you trying to incorporate more into your life? Put in the comments below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that, and check out some other videos on the channel.